You know something? I'm gonna get this together one day
It's gonna be
on
fun.
what we actually supposed to be doing. All right. Hello,
Hello,
everybody.
everybody.
Welcome to Rock and Jess World, a podcast. I'm Rock.
I'm Jess.
And we want to welcome you all to our podcast. Listen, great conversation today. Great things that are going on today. I don't know, Jess. I've been waiting on this. I almost couldn't even wait for the countdown to get through.
I've been so excited about this week.
Yeah.
This is so exciting.
Yeah, I mean, just the conversation is going to be epic already. I mean, it's going to be epic conversation, and I got two heavy hitters. We got two heavy hitters with us today. Oh no! Listen, so I want to take a moment. I got to take a moment because I don't want you to hear about it. I need you to be about it, and you don't even want to miss this. Just with the stuff that's going to happen today, I got to make sure that y'all ready, and I don't want Big Mama and them missing out on it. I need everybody to tag and share.
Grab your friends.
I need you to go get. I need you to call Pookie and them. I need you to call Aunt Becky and them. I need you to call everybody and let them know what's going on. Tell them Rock and Jess World is on the air. Now, listen, I think we need to do this. I think we need to do this because many people already know about our podcast, and I'm very grateful for those who follow us. You know, we're very grateful and very blessed and humble to have sponsors and different things of that nature. But I'll go even further to say one of the things that we struggled with was having to do so much editing and, you know, trying to put this file over here and this file over here. And it was just a little difficult. And I'm gonna go ahead and get me a drink.
I think the biggest advice somebody gave us was try to get rid of the things that we don't want to do.
So right.
We try to compound them in something, you know, make it easier for us.
Right.
Work smarter, not harder.
And I think, oh, come on, smarter, not where my hoop triggers at. Come on, smarter, not harder.
Yeah.
Come on, Jess. Come on, say your preaching part. Ain't he all right?
Ain't he all right?
I'm gonna ordain you from the Church of Rock and Jess World. All right, Jess is preaching. Listen, y'all didn't even know she had it in her. All right. So anyway, we have two heavy hitters. Listen, they're already here in the background in the green room, if you would. I guess we could have a digital green room. You know what I'm saying?
I love this. Yeah,
we got a digital green room.
Yes,
you know, so they in there, and they're ready to come on, and I'm ready to listen. I searched high and low. We searched high and low. You know, for this pandemic conversation, I think there are some conversations that need to be had that are not being had during this pandemic. And I was like, you know, I hope their schedules will allow. Remember we were talking about that, hope that their schedules will allow.
It was meant to be.
I need Texas best. I need Georgia's best. I need something that's better than Trump. God knows we need some encouragement. I need people that they couldn't run for president because they're great leaders. That'd be a step down for them to run for president. They're great leaders already, and people need them. The body of Christ. Want to give a shout out also to Pastor Archie Tatum, my cousin, and very encouraged by him and what he does on social media. Want to give a shout out to every preacher that's preaching and ministering and that haven't stopped. I mean, we watching you. Watching you. You know, and I was going to ask you this, Jess, before we bring them on. You know, when people are watching those broadcasts with different pastors that are preaching and then they stop one broadcast and go to the other one, is that considered church hopping?
It is.
I think that's church hopping. I was raised that we don't church hop, but you know, on social media, some folk going to 8 and 12 churches a day.
Yeah,
from a mega church to, you know, and you and the thing I love about it is that the pandemic, the blessing of it is that it's put everybody on a level playing field.
It is.
You get you a phone and you do what you do. Yes. All right. So anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and do this. I have a great person who's here already in the building. He's in our green room, and we ready to bring him on. We're gonna start here first. Georgia in the house. Got Georgia in the house. A brother from another mother, a great man of God, and I'm so glad that he's here with us. Let's give it up for Pastor Johnny Porter.
God bless everybody.
Oh my God, look at him.
Look at you guys.
Stop what you're doing. Just look at this brother here.
Stand up and play.
Listen, doing great things. You know, just, you know, church and different things like that. Been pastoring. Great leader in this time. Pastor Porter, how you doing today?
Man, I'm great, Brother Rock. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing. Listen, with you on here, just we doing good, huh?
I know.
We
in a whole new circle.
Yeah, we in a whole new circle. Look. I'm looking at all the certificates on your back wall back there, degrees and going on. You got them degrees back there, and I'm gonna just say that been friends for a long time, and very grateful that you decided to join us.
Absolutely.
So, how's your day been?
Man, it's been fantastic, man. Just, you know, Saturdays you get a chance to catch up, work a little bit, do a little stuff for yourself, but it's all good, man.
Right.
Family time. Yeah.
Good. How's the family? Everybody doing well?
Everybody's outstanding, man. Everybody's just doing their thing, and we're blessed of God, man. We're all good.
And let me ask you this: how many kids you got now? Was it 12?
Man, I got three.
Three. Listen,
Yeah.
I said
Trying
I
to
felt
attach something to 'em.
I
Don't
felt
attach
12 in
other
the
people's
spirit.
kids.
I'm attaching too many kids. Listen, I felt 12 in the spirit. Maybe you need to catch up to what God has done.
You got stuck on those 12 disciples, didn't you?
Listen, I'm glad you're here. I'm gonna go ahead and bring on our next guest as well, and then we'll go ahead and get it rolling. I got so many things that I want to talk about, Jess. I know you got a lot of things that we've been both going back and forth, and I'm just ready to get after it. This I want to say this morning, but we passed noon, and I think in all time zones. We're past noon in all time zones. So we have another heavy hitter. Y'all thought we was done. Y'all thought, I know y'all excited about Pastor Porter being here. But we got another one. Brother from another mother. Great man of God, Texas best. And I'm glad he's here. Let's give it up for a great friend of mine who have been friends for a long time. Jen, I can't say that Pastor Porter, and I'm sorry, I want to make sure that I always give the reverence there. But I can't say that I can't say too much because you guys we've been friends for so long. I mean, how long have we been friends? I mean, think about it. How long have we?
A long time.
Yeah, it's crazy. But let me give it up for Pastor DeMarcus Pearson. Let's give it up for him. There he is.
What's up?
Listen, nothing much. Man, look at you. I see you.
Listen, I before you even say anything, did I hear Jess say, "Ain't he all right"? Did she preach that like, "Ain't he all right"? Did I hear her?
Yeah, you heard Jess. Listen, she be preaching. That's what she be doing.
You preaching now?
Go on and hit it again, Jess.
Is that all right? That's when I really need to tell Rock something. I want him to listen real good. I have to do that first.
Yeah, when she needs to tell me something, she got to preach it to me. And that's the thing that she does. Right. Because I'm a preacher, sometimes she I don't hear her sometimes at the husband, so she got to put her preach on and speak to the preacher.
And you gotta say, yeah, he is all right.
He is all right.
See, y'all already know she's using it against me. Using my calling again. All right, Pastor Pearson, how you doing?
Man, I'm blessed. As you can see, I'm doing a little traveling. This is Saturday, and we got so much going on, but I'm happy to know that I am not driving, I'm riding.
Oh, right.
I just want everybody to know this. I didn't want anybody to get nervous just in case some of my members are viewing this. I want to make sure that they know that I am not driving. I am riding. But I'm glad to be with you today. I'm glad to be with the both of you.
All right. And I know Pastor Porter has already said he's doing well. Now, I'm so glad to see you all. So let me, if you don't mind, I'm gonna ask this question. I know this may not be a part of our scripts, but I know that we, in the pandemic, different things like that, and y'all know it's a trying time right here. And when I say it's a trying time, I think it's mainly because of the shift. Everything have shifted. Everything have changed. The world as we know it have changed, honestly. And I just want to, you all being leaders in your respective areas and cities and states, I really do want to know and let people know how is the pandemic affected your area where you specifically are. Pastor Porter, we'll start with you. How was it affected Georgia?
Wow. Well, the pandemic, to be honest with you, man, has really had an impact on a lot of pastors here. I mean, the churches are, they're trying to acclimate to the changes. The one thing I could put into mind that the one thing that comes to mind is that book, Who Moved My Cheese? You remember that, that book, and one of the things that is really
Who moved my cheese? Go ahead. I'm sorry. I felt churchy in that moment.
Right. Yeah. But the book deals with how when change comes, you either respond to it one or two ways. You either complain about the cheese being moved, or you figure out how to get to the cheese by making some moves and changes yourself. Come on. And so I think a lot of pastors have literally found creative ways to do ministry. I will agree with you. I think that this has been also a blessing for many pastors who were struggling in the beginning and asking God for help, looking for a solution, trying to hang on by a thread. And this pandemic came along and literally leveled the playing field for a lot of people. A lot of people who were possibly in a process where they couldn't keep their buildings, couldn't keep their churches, are now ministering in their homes. And there's almost been a stimulus package for them in reverse, where their rent has gone down if they're paying rent at all. And a lot of pastors are being able to finally slow down. And I do believe that this has been a blessing to us health wise, where we're able to now get the time we need to spend with our families. Because think about it, ministry can really pull on a marriage, can pull on relationships and all that stuff. And so now we're actually healing. And I think in the midst of a pandemic, we're actually experiencing healing, even though it comes across as, inconvenience or whatever. But I think it's been a blessing. And a lot of the pastors here in Georgia are truly taking advantage of that. And I'm seeing it.
Do you think it's taking a lot of the stress out of preaching, just so you can go back to the basics and making things better?
Jess, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm finding that, and I think the Lord was dealing with me with this a long time ago. In fact, I think Pastor Pearson and I, we did a interview a while back, and we were just talking about that same topic and how we are able to minister and talk to people. Yes, we enjoy the celebration and the hooping and all that kind of stuff, and the different semantics that come with preaching, our preaching styles, delivery styles. But for some reason or another, now I think people are really in tune just with just how we deliver the word and the message, and it's really giving us a chance to now to think about what's being fed to us. We are actually understanding the ingredients that's in our food. We're not just sitting down at a buffet slapping this on, slapping that on, slapping this on, and just getting fat off of whatever. We don't even know what we ate. We just know it was good. We enjoyed it, right? But now you know what you're dealing with and what you got, and people are getting stronger, healthier. And I think, and a lot of our pastors are literally that fog that we've been in because we've been so busy. I think a lot of our pastors are really getting clarity and really hearing from the Lord right now. Because I'm gonna be honest with you, I think I've been church hopping too, Rev. I get a chance to visit folks and family that I probably wouldn't get a chance to go visit because I'm doing church myself. So this is allowing me to be fed by some of my friends, and I get a chance to support them as well. So this has been a blessing. This has been fun. I've enjoyed it.
Why you're doing it?
Absolutely. It takes you back to the why. And sometimes we even forget to even ask why. I think we get frustrated with, we ask why in the wrong spirit a lot of times when we're out of our frustration. We're like, why am I doing this? What's this all about? Why do I keep coming back? That's not the time to be asking why. We need to be asking why in a healed state of mind, where we're reminded of we are doing this because we were, number one, called, and number two, we feel passionate about it, but not because you're exhausted and you're frustrated and complaining.
All right, let me. I want to ask Pastor Pearson them same question. Now, listen, we got to give it up for Pastor Porter. Already doing an awesome job. Hallelujah! Right. Listen, Pastor Pearson, how is it going there in Texas as far as the pandemic? Talk to us.
Well, as it has been in most of the country, I would say that there's been a lot of uncertainty. This entire year, literally just from day to day, we don't know what we're going to wake up to or go to bed to.
Right.
And so, this pandemic has in people's hearts, in their minds, and we're dealing with it. I think it is something that we can't really prepare for. I think, as it pertains to God, I think He has us living literally day by day. Give us this day our daily bread.
Yes,
so
sir.
I think we literally have to have a word for every day we wake up. As it pertains to the church, preaching, I should say, I believe the pandemic has put passion back in our preaching. It has put purpose back in our teaching, and has put reason back into our going back to church.
Right.
The necessity of us convening and fellowshipping with each other. So we're been affected, certainly, and there's so much to say about it. But I think at this point in time in our lives that we literally just have to learn how to change and go with the times.
Okay. All right. Now I know Pastor Porter alluded to it. I want to enlarge upon it. Now, it said pastors are getting the time that they need at home. Y'all think some more kids gonna come out of this?
I'm sure.
I
I'm
think first
sure
ladies
some
is gonna be
children.
ready for them jokers to get back to church.
I'm
Yeah,
sure a new generation is coming on the scene due to the
yeah.
pandemic of 2020.
Yeah. You know that is, I don't know if it'll ever return back to the time before TV and stuff because you know our parents and grandparents generation, they pushed out about 12, 14 kids. You know, so I don't think it's gonna get back to that. No.
Yeah, folk
You
only
don't see that
doing
anymore.
even with my grandparents, they had 10 children,
Yeah, 10
and
Mhm.
you just
Wow.
don't see that no more. I guess if there was social media, back then or something else, but it ain't none. I guess Papa was looking at Mama. That's the ministry. That's the first ministry, actually.
Yeah, Lord. Yeah,
Right.
People
Lord.
can do what they want to say. That's your first ministry,
Yes,
actually.
sir. Yes, sir.
All right. That's what's some of them questions that we're gonna ask because I just wanted to get started with that and find out what the pandemic has been in your respective areas and how you all were functioning as far as that area because it have changed things. It have
Oh, it
definitely
has.
changed things. Just talk to us. What's that question?
Well, it's definitely changed the way everybody operates on a day-to-day basis. But I mean, what do you guys think as far as all the kids are at school, at home? Everybody's confused as to what's going on. The kids are. Do you feel like in the education system are the kids suffering? How do you guys feel about that?
Well,
Well, go ahead.
go
Go
ahead,
ahead,
go
We'll
Mike.
ahead,
start,
Pastor.
Pastor Pearson. Go ahead,
Pastor
Pastor
Chris.
Pearson. I'm sorry. We're directed.
Well, I will say it definitely, especially during, kids were out of school back in March,
Hmm.
uh, and from that time all the way up to school beginning, I can definitely say it affected students.
Right.
Me being in the educational system, I can definitely tell you that children were affected by this pretty much with the social part of school,
Right.
as well as the education. But I think we get a lot of our purpose and identity through that social part, and they miss that. And I think that affected children in a certain way, even to the point, believe it or not, um, I asked the other day how was the children doing on campuses and the
Hmm.
behavior, and believe it or not, behavior is down. Now, I don't know if that's due to these kids don't want to go back home or they
Listen.
scared of
It's
COVID.
like,
One of the
yeah,
two. They don't want to go back home. I think
Right.
they enjoyed that, but it definitely affected children
Right. Right.
in trying to understand what's going on in our world, as well as them learning the importance of being connected with someone else.
Right. Let me ask you this, and I'm gonna direct this towards Pastor Porter along the same lines of that question. Pastor Porter, I know they took prayer, and this is along lines of your question. I know they took prayer out of schools, but the
Mhm.
pandemic have reversed it and sent the school home.
Yeah, yeah.
But my question is, are parents is prayer at home like it should be?
I think prayer shows up out of frustration again.
Are the kids praying?
I think the kids are praying when mama's got that look trying to figure out how to turn off the camera so she don't get indicted for trying to straighten them out. I think the kids are praying. I think parents are also praying that they don't lose their stuff because I
Right.
mean they're realizing that little angels ain't little angels. You know,
they
No.
realize them with the teeth.
they're realizing that, and I think a lot of the parents who are pushing for their kids to go back to school are really just frustrated with their kids. You know, they're ready to get them going. They're eating up everything. They're not working, not getting up on time. You know, they just there watching a lot of TV, picking up weight, all the above. And then, of course, a lot of our parents are struggling with the amount of work that their kids are being assigned,
Yeah.
but also trying to do their jobs online and do those things. And I really do feel like one of the problems we're having right now, my wife is an educator as well, and I see her working like, in fact, what she would normally do for one class, she's having to double it because she's also having to do it for her online class. So you're seeing a double amount of work. That work increase is there, and the stress is there. I feel sorry for the kids because the kids don't get that socialization that Pastor Pearson was talking about. They're missing out on that socialization and kicking it, but they're having to literally focus on just that one directive, those homework assignments, getting them in, working with the
Right.
computer curve. So it's in a sense like you're you're doing a self study where you're teaching yourself the lesson. Then you got to turn around and actually do the homework. And
Right.
that's the only way I can kind of put it. But I see a lot of kids going through that. But right now, I still feel like that missing component in this conversation is asking teachers who are in those classrooms what is the best solution and what's the best direction to go. They're not asking teachers.
Right. Right. I'm gonna say this. I saw this the other day on social media. I love a good meme. One that's gonna make me laugh. And they've been having this. That Will and Jada entanglement thing, and they got that one picture of Will, and they said, when the school called and said that your child needs to be in special education because you've been doing all this work.
Yeah.
I said, Lord. And the parent is sitting there looking like Will with the whole entanglement. I thought that was the funny.
That's
That's a
pretty
real
funny.
question, and we're going to get to Mr. Emfrey's question there that he's asked. But that's a real question. Is it better or worse in this generation when parents don't really they haven't really been involved in their child's education? They just been pushing them to school. Now they're having to be involved. Are we going to really see? I mean, is that going to be something that parents are going to be able to see that they need to be better or educated more? Is that going to lead to a frustration?
You,
Uh,
you
I,
know,
since I'm on you, Passport, we'll go with you first. Go ahead.
I think that's a great question, but there is a bigger question that I think that's not being asked, and
Uh-huh.
I'm wondering if there is an opportunity that we're missing to look at the model that we've been using for education to see if that actually works anymore.
Oh,
Because
that's good.
because the initial model and purpose for education was to train workers how to go into manufacturing jobs and get on
Right.
an assembly line, and that was the purpose.
Exactly.
Because if you think about the way the classroom looks now,
Hmm.
you can go into your kid's classroom and see the same setup that we had and our parents had.
Right.
Not much has changed in the system. And so that whole model that we have been doing, instead of adjusting and getting it customized, like to make it relevant to what's going on now, the school system isn't changing. But we're seeing that on the end of Mr. Clark. What's the guy? What's the school here in Atlanta where the kids are in
Lean
these
on me. The movie
yeah.
Lean on.
Well, no, it's the other Clark. It's another Clark, the one that had the kids doing all the dancing and singing and rapping and all that kind
Oh,
of stuff. They're doing different types of learning processes, and these
right.
kids are looked at as like the brightest kids you ever wanted to meet. And there are lines and applications that's been years trying to get these kids in these schools, but
Right.
but the teacher, he stands on the desk and he talks to teach outside. He breaks the rule. There's no boundary on what he can do. He's not teaching the kids to the test to make sure that they pass a state exam or something like that. That standardization stuff, whatever. But my point is, are we allowing teachers to teach, or are
Uh-huh.
they having to get stuck in a system where their hands are tied and they're not even being asked to do anything? Like this, let me say this real quick. Like, I don't understand how you're asking, you're making complaints about teachers. I mean, not teachers. You're complaining about kids going back to school, and you're worried
Right.
about their education, but yet the politicians and powers that be won't listen to the people who are educated about what needs to be done. So I don't
Okay.
understand the value there.
Okay. All right. Listen, I got to give you one on that.
I think the stand
That was good.
in general, just with education or working in general, a lot of times the people that make decisions aren't actually the people that actually are doing it, to make
Exactly.
things better. So I see that a lot, across the board. But in
Hmm.
school, especially, because these are our future leaders, our future, influencers. So I mean, that we do need to take a better look at how things are running.
Right, right. Let me pose that same question to Pastor Pearson. Do you think that because parents are going to have to be more involved with and I'm sorry, Pastor Porter, great point with the school education system not evolving from when our parents and us went to school. But Pastor Pearson, what do you think we should do? Should there be more night classes offered for parents on how to assist and complement the education system, help your children? Because a lot of them don't know that homework. The boy comedian was saying that they send homework home and embarrass everybody in the house. But ain't nobody help. What do you think, Pastor Chris, in that regard?
Now, I'm going to be the first to tell you, from a a parent standpoint, I don't want to go to school again. At night, day, morning.
Yes, sir.
I hear that.
And most parents would probably feel that same way. However, we certainly do want to be there to be a support. And I believe that most parents, if nothing else, during this pandemic have realized the importance and the significance of what teachers deal with and what they go through. They've had first account of what it means to make their children pay attention, stay focused, and then try to assist them when they cannot do it themselves.
Right.
So this has given, I think, a good part when it comes to parents understanding, having more of an understanding, because when you have an understanding, you're a lot more compassionate upon those who take care of your children. And so this pandemic has caused some great things to take place.
Right.
It has caused some great things to take place. So I appreciate, that part of it. But I don't think or believe parents would want to go to extra school just to relearn something or learn something new with all of the things that are pressing upon their life right now. I think the best thing for us to do is to support parents, and schools are doing that. Our district is definitely doing that, trying to support parents as much as they can with online assets where they can go in and try to learn things on their own when they can.
At their own speed.
That's good.
And I'm sorry, because this is something that we're actually going to do a podcast in the future that's just going to be involved with educators. We'll get principles and different things on there. But discipline.
I was about to say that.
Yeah, I was going to say discipline have changed because a lot of parents are sitting right out of view of the camera with a belt. Get it wrong again. Yeah. Telling they can get it wrong again. What was that video we saw where they was talking about Timmy with 3 apples, and if they take away 2? Did y'all see that video? I
did. I watched it 20 times.
I know. I watched it. That man was frustrated, and the teacher was like, the teacher said,
I've doing that. So many memes.
Oh my God.
He said, and look, Timmy had 3 apples. It was just funny. But that's real though. I mean, that's real.
Right. So, it gave me flashbacks.
Do you think that old belt gonna help the education process?
Yeah, I wouldn't have made it, man. That'd have been me all day.
And the truth be told, we've had parents to go through the first 4 weeks of school, and they have said they had the option to either do virtual or in class, and they said we can't do it. And they were gung-ho at the beginning. Oh, my kid's not going back. Oh, no, absolutely not. Right. Well, they got into that 4 weeks. They're like, well, we cannot do this. You are going to school.
How bad could the COVID-19 really be?
Yeah, they
my house is dirty. I can't get nothing done. No, them kids going to school, COVID or not.
A meme boy called into school and said he was getting homeschooled and gonna call in and say he missed the bus. He in the bedroom, tell him he missed the bus. Like, boy, that was fun. It's just so many of them, but you know how real that is, though.
It is.
That's like very, especially from when we were going to school. Now, I just wasn't. I was a late bloomer, so I didn't really get education really strong until I got out of school. Then I saw the need for the. I was the typical teenager. I was more into music, which y'all know. All of us are musicians on here. We all started as musicians, even Jess, as a musician. But the music had me. That was my life. I breathed, drums and organ and choir music, and in school, which was my distraction. Nobody ever taught me how to balance the two, if you would, how to balance. And there was nothing in the school beyond band. Shout out to Pastor Pearson being the first Black drum major there at Tyler Lee.
All right, way to go. Dude.
Absolutely, I'm proud of you.
I didn't know you were there, man.
He quit football.
Oh yeah, that's right. I remember that.
Man,
intentionally.
I remember that.
I quit football intentionally.
Listen, because I'm gonna come back to that.
In the music
let me come back to that because listen, And you know, that's what I forgot to bring that up. All of us played high school on the same. I mean, played football on the same team
in the same high school.
at the same high school. Do you know that? We're all winners.
Yeah.
Hey, what is your football team? Your team won state?
They did.
Did y'all have a football team?
Yes, we did.
Okay. Jess graduated with all honors, you know.
Oh man, she's just showing out.
All honors, and I forget what place she was in her class or whatever, but she did well. I told her if we'd have met at high school, she wouldn't have liked me. I was football and music.
Yeah.
But anyway, let me let me ask this question right here, and whoever wants to take it. The kids and teachers are suffering. They have to wear a mask for 2 to 3 hours straight, and I think that may be a part of the worry with the pandemic, because I worked at the school for a long time, was an educator for a long time, and I would not use a student restroom. I would not do it. I remember I went in there one time and asked a child to prop the door open for me because I never wanted a student in there with me. So I said, hey, you got to go. You're going to have to wait till I get through, you know, just because kids lie. You know, I'm just trying to look out for myself. And this little joker left and let the door close. I refused with everything in me to touch that door handle. I sat there and waited on another child to come in there. Yeah, because I knew it was every disease in the world on that handle. Because most of the time at the school, I noticed they like to break the soap dispensers off. Yeah. And everybody using the restroom and ain't no soap. They're not even using the. Well, anyway, that was just my situation. I'm sorry. Yeah. Terrell High School has gotten much better now, but that was my situation, and I just wouldn't do it. So, what do you all say with that? Were they having to wear? And I'll ask you, Pastor Porter. You know, with not being able to, you know, just regularly discipline children, how can we get them back? You know, how do you do that? That's the fear everybody was having with school. How do we keep these kids safe when they not, you know, they get silly with it? How do we do that?
I think part of it is these kids are smarter than we give them credit a lot of times. But sometimes kids, you know, have to be protected from themselves too. As a parent, we sometimes as parents, man, you know, we want them to understand it the way we do. But sometimes kids are a little bit more risk takers than we would care for them to be. And I don't know. I think ultimately conversations like this, letting them talk amongst each other. One thing I think I figured out over the years is that kids are good at listening to each other. So that peer-to-peer type of thing is important. And I think kids are influenced by seeing other kids of leadership. And this is where I think the church could really do a better job with actually connecting with our young people. Well, unfortunately, now I'm about to go somewhere. I think sometimes our young people in church don't feel like they have a purpose or feel like they have anything to do.
Right.
And they don't understand the power of influence that they truly have. Even when we were talking about taking prayer out of school, a young person who is a prayer person actually has the ability to pull people. Because I remember at Robert E. Lee High School myself, there was this one kid that just really made me realize that, dude, you're a Christian.
Right.
Act like it, right?
Yeah.
You're a Christian. Act like it. And his name was Wesley. And one day, I guess I decided I didn't want to be a Christian anymore. And I just wanted to just be myself. And I got the cussing and carrying on. And
come on.
Yeah, I thought I'd give it a shot. And and I thought I'd give it a shot. Knowing good and well that you can't keep nothing secret without it getting back home to your parents. But anyway, I thought I'd give it a shot. He just looked at me and he walked up to me. He said, Brother John. I said, Brother John, I thought you was a Christian. I said, I am. I said, I'm like, what's your problem? What's your point? And he said, well, you know, Christians don't talk like that, brother.
Come on.
And I felt this small, man.
Yeah.
He said, now I want you to pray with me. If the Lord would have come right now, you wouldn't be ready. And that was all it took. And I said, you know what? I'm ashamed. This brother called me out. He probably saved my soul that day.
Right.
And after that, I decided I'm okay with my identity. I'm okay with being a Christian. Right. But my point is, I think that peer-to-peer reached me more than an adult could have. at that moment, the fact that another peer called me out on my stuff. And I think peer-to-peer support and teaching and stuff like that is really great. And I think our young people need to be brought into the conversation. And I think churches can help young people by giving them something to do and having this conversation and maybe doing it with them and letting them talk and say, how can you make a difference in school? How can you win somebody over in school? How can you help somebody? Because that's an area of ministry in the vineyard that we can't reach because we're not in school. Like Pastor Mark Pearson said, we done got our degree, we're out. So you're in that sector of the vineyard. Can you do something over there? What can you do? And I think helping them see that.
I have a question.
Okay, go ahead. You want to ask yours?
Yeah, let me ask my question.
Okay,
all right. And this is going to be perspective. So, me coming from somewhere completely different, from St. Louis versus when I went to Tyler, I'm going to say the influence is completely different. So the school system I come from, there wasn't so much of prayer in school, anything like that. They kind of shied away from it. But when I went to Texas, I saw so many prayer around the flagpoles, and that's something that I've never, wasn't pushed and learned where I come from. But for when I moved my family to Texas, I saw that a whole lot. So
y'all had the devil in y'all down there. Is that what I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
But I'm just saying, coming from
the head movement.
Encouraging. Whatever.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. I just felt something. Go ahead.
So encouraging school systems everywhere. How do we even influence that? And I ask that to both of you.
Well, I think again that's where the church comes in to help cultivate that. If it doesn't exist, you plant that, you cultivate it, and then you develop it, and then you cultivate it some more. But again, I think that's just something that we've not necessarily neglected because we didn't know it was something to do. You know what I mean? That's where we walk in the grace with that. But I think overall, there is an opportunity, and this is what this pandemic is revealing to us, that there are areas that have not been dealt with that we may need to take a look at. You know what I mean? And I think we need to really stop and ask these questions. But I don't think we've had an opportunity to ask those because everything's been fine. We're so used to doing what we've been doing, we didn't even think to ask these questions.
Pastor Person, go ahead. What's your thought?
I was just going to say, I don't know if y'all know or not, but prayer is not out of the schools.
Yes, sir.
They have not told us. And to back the point up, what Jess said when she said that when she came to Texas, they were doing prayer around the poles. Do you not know who instituted those? Students.
Yeah. Yes.
Students instituted prayer. So prayer has not been taken out of schools. Children don't pray no more in school.
Okay. That was a great point. Go ahead.
You on mute.
I think you muted yourself. Go ahead.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yes.
Somebody's trying to call in on my phone. I can't answer.
That's the devil.
You have a right. You know the devil. He comes in at the right time. The person was the devil that was calling me. But he don't want this point to get out. But I want to make this point.
Make it.
That back in the day, before what they say, prayer was taken out of the school. I can't think of the lady's name just right off the bat that argued against prayer and etc.
I forgot.
Took out school. What it was that the school would automatically pray each day.
Right.
And corporate it would just be like the order of the school day, like they do the Pledge of Allegiance.
Like the Pledge of Allegiance, right.
Okay. Well, they stopped doing that. But there is no constitution that says we cannot. There's no constitutional right that says we cannot pray.
Right.
Or that comes against. There's no law against us praying in school. The key is students must institute the prayer at their will.
Right.
So if they say we want to pray, they can call a prayer.
Right.
The problem is we're not praying at home, so students don't have the knowledge to know I can go to pray at school if I want to.
Yeah. Right. And that necessity for it is going to be something that's built at home.
So we teach them at home to pray, or we teach them at home that that's a part of their lifestyle, if you will, that we do this every day, they can organize students every morning. Because remember when we were there at Robbie Lee, at the
Yeah.
time it's Legacy now, we organized the gospel
It's
choir,
still
right?
Tyler Lee.
Yeah. We organized the Robbie Lee
I
gospel
was
choir.
going to talk about that. Go ahead.
And in doing that, we were exercising our religious liberties.
Right.
Prayer is a religious liberty that we can do at any given time at school. The school just does not have the right to mandate it.
So let me ask you a question real quick before we move. Do y'all remember Kalante Gavin? He's this new artist
Yeah.
now.
Welcome playing cafeteria. I remember.
Right. You remember when he was singing that in the cafeteria at school? Look what he's doing now.
Yes. Yes.
You know, that
And
was
he
at
was
school.
anointed.
He was just going forth in the spirit at school. Didn't matter who was there, whatever. You know, and I think that Shane, you know, that part, that's what I'm talking about, that peer-to-peer. We seem to get stronger when we connected. I remember, and this is, you know, DeMarcus, it's great that you're talking about Tyler Lee, because you did something that I could not do when I was at Lee. When I was at Lee, I tried to do the gospel choir, but I couldn't do it because of the system that was already in place. And it was so organized. So by the time I graduated before you, I went to TJC and I started the gospel choir at TJC. You were able to start the Robert E. Lee choir,
Right.
and do that. And I remember how we would sometimes meet, and we even had the IYC thing going on. We were really getting down back then, man. And Texas College Choir, all that kind of stuff. We had a lot going on in that city, but you were able to do it from a high school perspective, you and Rockman. And I never forgot that. And that was amazing how you guys were able to pull that off. But we tried to open it up, and it was not possible when I was at Robert E. Lee.
I remember when he went to go and do it, and I was just telling Jess about that, because all of us, even to this day, I love hearing good choir music. I used to jokingly tell people that I used to, when the choir sung good at Bethel, I would get saved.
Every time?
Every time. No, every time. I love choir music that much. God knew if they hit it, Ruth Beasley, y'all know, kids, if they were singing their songs or whatever, and they got, because see, that's what I remember choirs being. And this is not our subject, but we just talking about the lead choir, the TJC choirs, and all of those things. But that's back when choirs, if it was good, the choir almost couldn't finish singing because folk would, get the dancing and worship would come in. But we were used to that coming from our home church, which calls us to actually do biblically what we're supposed to do, carry what we have gained out into the community and duplicate that, do it again.
It wasn't hard to do because it was in us to do.
Right.
And I remember when DeMarcus did it, it was so natural that I was like, there was time when he would do stuff and the kind of music he would choose to sing, and they would get to responding to the songs and shouting and speaking in tongues and all that kind of stuff. And I'd be like, ain't he embarrassed? Maybe he shouldn't do that. These folks gonna look at him strange.
Yeah.
And I remember you playing the drums. And I don't think I had ever heard anybody play the drums like you.
Oh man,
before. No, seriously. Because remember, DeMarcus can tell you. DeMarcus can tell you. We had Brother Ross' son. Darren? At Bethel Temple.
Yeah.
And he could play, and he was a phenomenal drummer.
Yes.
But nobody was playing riffs and licks like you guys. And DeMarcus was playing the organ and was playing all kinds of stuff that we ain't never heard, and I never forget that. I thought that you guys were doing some groundbreaking stuff, and I think what we discovered at Robert E. Lee when you guys started that, you discovered other kids from other churches who are also musicians and singing and playing and directing and all that kind of stuff. And man, what it did was it revealed and exposed everybody else we would have never known were even in the church or Christians, and we are lifelong friends to this day because of that exposure,
Right. And that was, I can't tell you how much I talk about that even now, because I've done community choirs in a lot of different places. I did one in Tyler, did one in Turl that was super successful because each time I would take something that I gained, to the next level, and I learned from my mistakes on the previous one to know what not to do for the next one. And but a lot of that started just watching you, because you knew if you called me and was like, Rod K, come play for me, and I knew if you jumped on the organ somewhere and if Corey wasn't there,
Right.
and I'm gonna go and say this publicly, I would sometimes hope Corey wasn't there because I just like playing for you.
Right.
I would go jump on the drum.
I'm the same way as the pastor. Sometimes I want to play for myself.
And I wonder with you all starting a lot of that, musicianship, I would say started from, when you were kids, when you watching other people's play in the church, and you decided, well, that's gonna be me one day. I need to get on those drums. I need to, do it that way. So I wonder, and I know you all said you started choirs and starting at high school level, but if we are starting as children, how come we don't go into like middle school, starts choirs there? How come we don't do elementary school? Because that brings them up, and their expectations for high school are already there. As far as
that's
music.
a great point.
I'm gonna talk about that just a little bit. Then I'm gonna give it to you, Pastor Porter. And I just wanted to put Royce Andre Duffy's question up there so we see it. I know he's on here. Great friend as well. But I remember when I went to do the gospel choir at Turl High School. I was just gonna do it after school, just give me, and they was like, well, the kids got to catch the bus. I said, all I need is 30 minutes, let me just do 2 days a week, 30 minutes. And 30 minutes is not enough time. But what I knew is I was gonna get my band together. That band, that meant, the music with kids, if you get the music together, the music slamming, they gonna want to stay. So what happened is them kids that was normally needed 30 minutes so they go catch the bus, start catching rides home and would stay a little longer. But I jumped in there to say that sometimes faculty can be a problem too, when they don't like your influence, and I think that should be something that shouldn't be in the equation. But I'll say this, Pastor Porter, Pastor Pearson, when we were all younger, we was our courage, our confidence was through the roof. We was gonna show up.
You can tell us we couldn't do it.
Yeah, and so even when they would say no, we was gonna find a way. And a lot of time now it's just so many no's. You have to have somebody like us that's on campus that'll say, "Hey, I'll sponsor it, so you can go and do what you're gonna do because I know what you're trying to do. So go ahead." And so I'm just jumping in there to say that because it's great to have, but I think a lot of times schools are missing the advantage of having a gospel choir on campus. I think it helps with behavior and everything, giving them that outlet. Because the gospel choirs was ours. It was ours, we gonna play music and we try to throw a little MC Hammer in there or whatever. Well, I know we would. That's back when I was halfway saved. But pray for me. I've come a long ways. But musically, that was the excitement, and that's what Passport. Go ahead, because I could talk about that all day.
No, man. I think you're absolutely right. And just to answer your question, for real, the youth. I think the younger classes, like the elementary and middle school, they lack the support from a teacher or someone who will allow that. And of course, now everything is so politically correct. You have to be careful about what's what, which is why they kind of took the corporate prayer out of school, because it was kind of leaning one-sided. You had this formula of, say your pledge, say your prayer, sing one song about Texas or something, and and then you get into your lessons or what have you. But the whole mechanical part of it, I think ultimately you need teachers that will support you when you're trying to do that and allow that to happen, and just say, hey, this is just another thing that kids can do, and it is an outlet. Right now, my children, they don't really sing in the choir, and you're seeing even in church now, kids are less involved with those type of curriculum in the church setting. Kids now are choosing to come to church, and if they do come to church, most of them are on the cell phone. They're not really engaged in stuff. Like back in the day, we broke fans. I can't tell you how many fans I turned into drumsticks.
Come on.
I can't tell you how many tambourines I broke.
This is real. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Because I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I broke a whole bunch of stuff. And in fact, back in the day, we get to having church so hard, we take out a stack of keys and be playing them, just like that. And that's part of what we did, you know.
I have to tell my wife, this is what I come from. We was gonna have church if we had to break up a chair to make some.
We're gonna make some noise, you know.
We finna get it going. I was telling her that's why I value musicians differently. I love them all. I love them all. But I value more the musician, say drummer, who can get on a bad drum set and adjust his playing to make it sound awesome.
Absolutely, you know, absolutely.
It's fine when you got a brand new song or somebody who can get on a bad piano where about 8 keys don't work.
Absolutely.
And still make it sound like it's a Kurzweil.
Absolutely. And you know, in the culture church, you never knew what people were going to jump up and sing anyway.
Right.
I love it though.
Right.
Their key.
That's my improvisation, man. Improvisation. You got improvisation every time you went to church. Especially you had that church mother who couldn't keep time or rhythm or tune. And you had to figure out how to make that thing sound all right.
Listen, good old testimony service made great musicians.
Yes, sir.
Because them folks sang whatever they've been hearing on the radio. And I didn't know back then what CCM versus gospel versus Christian music was. And nobody knew it. But when whoever got up in testimony service sung, Bishop Wade expected everybody over there to play it.
That's right.
You're going to play it. And if you don't know it, you better fake it till you make it. That's
telling you, man. What's going to happen. In fact, a lot of the old songs were birthed by accident.
You're telling the truth. That's how many times did somebody sang a song that you didn't know, but you knew you had to play it.
Yeah. Talking about come on out of that corner, you can't hide. I think somebody was probably mad at somebody saying, "Yeah, you did me wrong."
Turn it into a church.
Everybody know you did it. Come on out of that corner.
Right. Pastor Chris, how often did you have to play in testimony service and somebody sung something you didn't know, but you still was expected to play it?
Listen, I am the genius of fake it till you make it. most of those songs, and we were blessed back then to have songs that had the same chord structure.
Right.
So whatever chord we used on Try Jesus was the same chord structure on God is a Good God.
Right.
So, so we were blessed. We were blessed to have that. But there were so many times that and I thank God for the church giving me an opportunity, because I know most of the time, as I was learning to play, as I was learning to flow in the spirit, it was by trial and error. They had patience.
Right.
Sometimes I wasn't in the right key.
Right.
And, being a keyboardist and organist, when I didn't know how to play in the key that they were singing, I tried to put them in the key that I was playing in.
Yes, sir. We was gospel gangsters.
So you're gonna need to sing this either on the lower register or the higher register, but we ain't moving from E flat.
Listen, so if they in A natural, where you gonna move them to?
A natural, you got two options: A flat. You got either C or B flat.
Now I'm gonna tell you.
No. I'll tell you. Hold on. No. You have A flat.
B
flat.
Or B flat.
That's it. That's all you're gonna have. Those were the only two options that you were gonna have.
Now things got better when they had that transpose key on the keyboard. Now that was a game changer.
No, listen. Pastor Pearson used to have a transposed organ.
Oh, Lord.
I said, Lord, that's gonna make it wonderful for musicians. Because here's my thing: some people frown on. Now we talking musician talk. Now we pandemic musician talk. That's what it is. So I some people knock musicians for not being able to play in every key, right? And I believe that you should learn those keys. Let's just be real. But if you're on the organ and God moving a certain way, and you don't know that key, hit the transpose and quit playing.
Come on now.
Nobody God ain't gonna not let you into heaven because you used to transpose. We all been there.
Just don't forget to set it back.
Right. Now let me ask you all this: do y'all still play, Passport? Do you still play from time to time?
Before the pandemic, every Sunday for myself. Yeah, absolutely.
Gotcha. Pastor Person, you still get on there from time to time?
Every now and then. The songs of the chords they don't work with mine anymore. So
it's different. It's different.
Listen, I do what I can, and when they want to have that old school sound, or they can't play that hymn,
there it is.
The way it needs to be played without all the augmented chords, the fifths and the thirds. I don't know
some of us like pastors.
Yeah.
The 1, the 2, the 3, the 4. We didn't know none of those.
No, sir.
Still don't know.
But we know the feel, though. We know when it's right.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And we knew how to flow in the service. We didn't just run off doing our own thing.
Absolutely.
We knew how to push the service with our playing.
Yeah.
I would literally try to preach through the organ.
Yeah.
Right.
Believe it or not, when you play as musicians, and this is good musician talk, as a coach,
we got to get back on the pandemic, y'all, because
well, let me say this. Really, part of our participation in the worship service as musician was to play at the appropriate times and to play with appropriateness, and to respond with the right licks. And to play at the right time, the right volume, that was our participation because we were paying attention. We were actually engaged in the worship experience itself because you playing, and not only that, you have to have thick skin because folks who didn't even know how to play be dogging you and don't play and telling you what to do and I don't need no music. Okay, you didn't say that before we got started. Where the musician at?
Oh, they do that. Don't worry about it. Let me say this, and this is to get, and y'all, we because the broadcast, I was looking at about an hour. We about to go clear that.
Good.
But let me say this, and then I want you all to comment, and then we're gonna kind of close it here. I know both of us, all of us. I was telling Jess the other day that we she was like, well, how often did your church travel? Because I told her I love traveling, but I believe that was birthed in me through our church traveling so much. We went everywhere, and we wanted to play. We wanted to do as much as we could as far as going with the church. And so we would go to, UNAC before it was, Ames. Then, it became Ames. But we was going when it was separated to Sunday school. And we're talking about National Church of God in Christ, what the Clark sisters are part of. Jess, she all right.
Look, I am well versed.
I had to say the Clark sisters. She be like, oh, okay, I know. They mama and them on this. She saw the movie, and I was just bringing. Did y'all see the movie, The Clark Sisters?
While I'm good. It was decent.
Great movie. Great movie. So, anyway, so we would do all of these things, and I told her about us being musicians in the national, and going up there, hearing all of that. Then you come back to your local church, and it's a hard transition. When you've been there, hearing all that, all the riffs being around. You knew if you played, you have to bring your A game because somebody replace you in a minute if you didn't bring your A game. So I remember one year, and this is actually for the pandemic. It's an illustration, but I think that it's great. Remember one year, Pastor Spencer, you probably remember this. Dr. Ira Stevenson asked us to show up at the choir rehearsal, for the band. Asked us to play. You was teaching a song. I believe you taught "They That Wait on God." They that wait up on the Lord. Yeah, that's the song you taught. So anyway, you taught the song, and the musicians loved it. Right. And y'all probably remember this because I'm gonna actually put myself out there, but I'm gonna bring it on in towards the pandemic. And so the musicians loved it, and some of the musicians they called the rehearsal and didn't tell us about it, right? And so it was like we gonna go ahead and play it, and it was really just to get me off the drums. I told Jess, I told her I'm giving y'all the radio version because y'all know it, but we on Facebook Live. I don't want to put myself out there too hard or call names. But I was mad. I was mad. Pastor Pearson, no, I when I got mad, I didn't mind fighting wherever. I was gonna fight. So we went, and I was waiting on the music. I went to their floor and was waiting on them with one of my friends from Terrell, Texas. I won't call his name neither. He was gonna help me. We was finna move some furniture because they did this move. All right, yeah, y'all know what I'm talking about. So no, the Lord moved because they never showed up. I had found out their schedule. I was gonna be there. We was gonna have it right there at the doors of the elevator. That's where it was going down. I had a friend. We was just gonna go in. They didn't show up, and I eventually just gave up on it. I was like, Pearson was like, "Don't be going trying to." He was always the peacemaker.
That's
For
good.
me, I was always the gangster, and he was the peacemaker.
Follow peace with all men.
Yeah,
Everybody needs that.
everybody do need
Everybody
that. He
need
was my
that.
balance, and so we got. Y'all remember I had that asthma attack, and we had to run and get that inhaler and all that.
Yep, yep.
These my brothers from for real. I was about to die. They came. Pastor Chris interrupted a meeting with Bishop Wade and all of them, and I think you got off the bus and went and bought it, and y'all came back up, and I got it, and I was finna die. Anyway,
Well,
long
thank you
story
for
short,
that,
we still on.
everybody.
Yeah,
Trying to fight.
Yeah.
Up here trying to fight.
trying
Having a
to fight
asthma attack.
asthma. Didn't care.
The devil still joy, but somebody tried to steal his breath.
Listen, all right. So as Pastor Chris was like, no, don't be doing that, Rock. You know, you ain't got to do that. Just it's all right. Don't worry about it. And I was like, well, I'm gonna let it go. I'm gonna let it go because it's too late now. They done already practice. You know, musicians done already practice. So I went to the concert that night. Pastor Chris had on this new white suit, I think that he had bought from Giorgio's and Tyler. That's another subject. He had
Boy, you
Giorgio's.
remember everything.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
So anyway, so he got up there to direct the choir, and I never forget. I sat there on the front row, right by the drums, you know, just gonna be over there by the musician. He stood the choir up, right, and they were ready. He turned around and looked down there and did not start the song
Until you got on.
until his brother got on the drums.
I remember that.
And I didn't know what was going on, but when he looked at me and I noticed what was going on, I didn't care who was on the drums; they was coming off.
I never forget it. I remember that.
No, see, we didn't work too hard. We worked too hard to get to that position to be a blessing and a practice. We were not gonna allow someone to just come in just because they wanted to show.
Right.
And that's what a lot of people are doing. They're trying to use, believe it or not, the pandemic as a platform to move them.
That is
We don't need platforms or performances. We need purpose-driven people that's in this for the right reason.
Integrity.
So let me say this just to bring this full circle to the pandemic. When you sat there, when you turned around, stood the choir up, turned around, if you'd have went on with the song, I wouldn't have been no love lost. I wouldn't have had no love lost. But what really blessed me, and through these years have blessed me forever, and because it's the sign of a true friend. I wouldn't even say, because the Bible says stick it closer, you know, than a brother. So I won't even say friend. I've got to say, you know, beyond brother. This is godly. So you could have just went on and been fine, been absolutely fine. And me as a friend, I wasn't gonna feel no type of way. You know, it's your song. You was doing what you was doing, but you stood them up. All these young people, all of them. And y'all remember how big that choir was? It was tons of them.
Yeah.
And you turned around with that suit and you looked at me, and you way away from me, looked at me. And I got on there. Now, and to bring this to the pandemic, I think that because of the pandemic, in many cases, people feel like, because church has changed traditionally, that they feel like this new method doesn't include them.
Exactly.
So I told that whole story to say that how would you all express while pastors are doing what they're doing, they're changing with technology and stuff like that, for the old church mothers that used to wait on the church bus to get there, wait on the stool to come out. Y'all know that little stool they put out at the church bus. Come on, y'all would agree with me. You know, that's used to the stool, that don't know how to work that Facebook, you know, don't know how to do all that, but they feel like they've been forgotten. I'm talking about them ones that used to listen to KZY Gospel Roots.
Yeah. Absolutely.
You know what I'm talking about. I feel like the church have forgotten. Speak to them just for a moment. Pastor Porter, I want to start with you.
Absolutely. You know, your story just really hit me because DeMarcus did something similar for me. And I celebrated him when he was selected to present his song. And when he was able to present his song, and I celebrated him, and I never forget when he did that. The following year, my song was selected, and DeMarcus had a lot to do with that, trying to make sure that I got an audience with that. And I want to thank him for that. And I don't know if he can see it, but he can see it on the replay. But for those people who are in that category you were describing, you know, they are, number one, they need to be acknowledged that they matter and that their presence and that they are there. I think that for those who are not necessarily techno savvy, to be able to do those things. One of the things that we have to begin to do is make sure that they have access to a recording, to audio. Let them listen to it. You can send them to them in an email or whatever. But I think one of the things that helps me to understand what you're talking about that really just spoke to me, and this is the musician talk that kind of brings it all home. You remember how back in the day, before the organs and the keyboards, there was just a guitar playing, right? The back in the days, you had guitar players who would play, and so you had people like Pastor Larry Wade, who was probably one of the best musicians of all times back in the day. He was just that good. People would hire him out, and he would go from everywhere, playing everywhere. But before him, there was just a lot of people playing guitars. And even now, the music is so fast in the praise break, the celebration, the dancing. Like I look at folks doing praise break now, dancing. I just get winded looking at it. Just all the fastest they move, and it's just so quick. And their dances are so pretty. You know, it's so orchestrated, and they three little steps. They do 3 or 4 steps, dip, 3 little step, dip, scoot right, scoot left, dip, scoot left, and whatever. They do that. It's so organized and structured. I don't think it's in the spirit, but that's just me. It looks good. But my point is, I look at them and I say, how do old folks get a chance to get in? And I remember in the music, whenever I play, even now, if there's a praise break, they break out, I look at the drummer. Sometimes the drummers who take off real fast, I slow it down. And I do that little, I do something like that, so the old people can get a little dance in, you know, and be mindful of them. But I think overall, just taking time to be mindful, to sing the hymns, to pull those hymns out and sing them, to do testimony service every now and then, to have an old-fashioned altar call, or to have an older preacher come and preach a revival, to teach that old school teaching, you know, stuff like that. When we begin to do that, and then not only that, maybe have services that is led by older people and being inclusive. And I think overall, we may not have done a good, we may not have been doing a good job of being inclusive, but I think we ought to start getting that back, because we don't want our old people to not feel that they're valued, because a lot of what they taught really could be used right now. We need it now more than ever.
Back to basics.
If we ever needed the law, we sure enough need him. Now you back. Yeah. So the question we was talking about with that full circle that I talked about, when you turned around and looked at me, waiting on me, you didn't forget about me. I was talking about during the pandemic, how can we let people know who feel insignificant, talking about those older who don't know Facebook, who don't know Facebook Live. How can we as pastors make sure that they are not forgotten? Because we know the new generation. I brought that whole story up to talk about how you stood up the youth. This was the youth choir. You have a generation of people that know how to operate all the technology. So church is changing. But what about people who only know the tradition? How are we, and I want you to speak to this, how we can function without forgetting them?
Well, I will say this, because you're definitely right in saying that it's different. Times are different. The way we communicate with one another is different. Technology is certainly advanced in such a way that some are with it and some are not with it. I can definitely say that there were people that were, I guess, disconnected when they were not able to come to church as often every Sunday. And the only thing that I could really think of with those who are elderly, who are not necessarily technically savvy, do not have the capabilities of getting on Facebook, or do even have a desire of getting on Facebook or any type of social media platform, is to go back to the way the Bible did it. And I actually had an opportunity to do this to a few of our members who I knew were, I guess, the sick and the shut in, or they were just shut in. They wasn't sick, they were just shut in. That is, we went back and did some home visits. I myself, as a leader, went to their home, covered in mask, of course, and protected myself and them as well, and administered to them and served them communion. I think it's important that we don't lose sight of the connection that we can have, that we don't have to have
Right.
Facebook. We don't have to have, social media platforms to be able to connect with people. That we can do connections by doing as the Bible did. The Bible said they went home to home, house to house,
Right.
fellowshipping, breaking bread with one another, ministering to each other on that part. The second thing that I would say that would probably be more intrusive when it comes to us now that we are beginning to come back into some of our churches is that we need to begin to preach faith-filled messages.
Oh, absolutely.
Not the
Okay.
ooey gooey messages
Okay.
that gets people
I gotta
just
hit you.
houses, cars, and land, faith to fill their houses, but faith to fill their souls. That when a pandemic comes, and that's the problem. The pandemic came and has come, and now we're panicking, and it is because we have not been preaching faith-filled messages that will hold them during times where we could not connect one-on-one. So our
Right.
pandemic turned into panic. And so we got to stop with all of the messages that seemingly bring in money and not bring in souls.
And can I jump in and say real quick? Let me add to that. I think, again, when we are framing our sermons and our worship experiences, that if we're going to do any editing or whatever, you need to make sure that that is kept in mind prior to delivery. And I think that we need to get back in touch in a pandemic mode right now, that we should have a tape ministry, audio ministry, video ministry. I think those make sense to come back and send out and ship out. You don't have to put a price tag on them. Just send them out as a means of keeping in touch. And I think Sister Thompson, she just made a comment a few minutes ago. She's absolutely right. Keeping in contact by phone and home visits outside of service, that's good. But another thing, this is the kicker. Our people who are in worship with us, in this ministry with us, must begin to take some onus as well, and not just wait on the pastor and first lady to do this. The ministers, ministries, different things like that need to step it up. I'm just going to call it like it is. They need to step it up. They need to come in and not wait on pastor to tell them everything. Of course, you need to check in and do everything in decency and in order, but you need to step up and say, Pastor, I haven't heard from Sister So-and-so and her children. I'm over the youth ministry. Do you mind if I give them a call and check on the kids? And then report back to the leader and let them know, because the leader can't do everything, take care of his house and his own stuff. You need to participate. And in this pandemic, the question then becomes, in ministry, how does the rest of the church engage and be a part of the work? Because usually the pastor is the one that's streaming. The pastor is doing the videoing and the editing and all that kind of stuff. Where's the rest of the ministry? Are they just sitting back watching? Because I have seen a fall off of people that were attending church. Most of my visitors now don't even attend my church. The majority of my visitors online Sunday after Sunday are people who never set one foot in my church.
Oh, absolutely. And I think many times, and you're right, me and Jess have definitely learned that with the podcast. Of course.
Can I answer that question?
Go ahead, Pastor Pearson. You go ahead.
I was going to say to answer that question. He said, because we certainly cannot put all the pressure, of course, on the pastor. It's only one person, but that's the pastor's job, is to disciple them to serve without teaching people to serve people.
Oh yeah,
we've had great church shouting, dancing, rejoicing, but when times like this come, we have not been able to teach those who are preaching. We taught them to preach well in the church, but we have not taught them to serve well outside of the church.
Discipleship, man. That's it.
And that's the problem that we have now. Everybody wants a mic, but nobody wants a hand towel, a dish. Nobody. So the church has to get back to the place of, and I believe God is allowing this, where we're not looking for mics and platforms.
That's right.
But we're looking to be able to serve people, even in during this time. Okay,
Right.
I don't have that much time because I got to get ready to go. But I just wanted to put that in there because that's where the heart of the church should be during this pandemic, of helping people, and it should become the fabric of who and what we are existing for. That the mission.
I know we're finna go. I mean, you all, we went way over time, and I knew it was gonna be. We actually cut out plenty of time for. I was like, hey, we get everybody online. This is just gonna be awesome. So we were prepared for this. Just we kind of talked about this,
Yes.
but I know there are several things that have changed, and of course we, as far as how we're doing our podcast have changed. Because this right here is what we're going to be able to, this is several episodes of our podcast. Listen to y'all, so y'all will be on our next several. Well, we about an hour and a half or so. This probably be about what, 3-4 episodes right here. So we appreciate y'all. We appreciate y'all.
My battery's about to go out.
I want to do.
I'm about to cut
Here
out
is what I want to do. What's that? Go ahead. I didn't hear you, Pastor Pierce.
I said my battery's about to go out, so we about to go out anyway. But I'm enjoying it.
Here's what I'm gonna say, and then we're done. Is that sometimes I wanted to create something that whenever there's something major that happens inside of America, I wanted to be able to jump online immediately to address whatever those things are and give people a way to productively deal with their emotion. So me and Jess decided that we wanted to do that, and I know I brought it up. I'm bringing it up now, but if I called y'all, just say Trump do something crazy, y'all are available. Would y'all mind going live immediately in those regards? Would y'all mind that?
I'm gonna say, as a pastor who is also a marriage and family therapist, I need that outlet, to be honest with you. I literally just did a what was it, a blog, and was just talking about how exhausting it is to be a therapist, providing therapy to people, and stuff is stressing me out, causing me to need therapy. So again, yes, absolutely, because I know we had something a few months ago with the shootings that just had you and me rocking and just kind of leaning on each other, because I think we had just about had enough. And I think DeMarcus, you and I, we talked about some stuff, but I think at the time I needed to talk to somebody, and we were talking to each other by Facebook, just letting it out. And I was like, but brother, if you go to jail, I got bail money. I'll be right there to help you out. Because I was frustrated,
Yeah. Pastor Person, you okay with it?
Yeah.
Absolutely. The Bible says to have an answer for all men.
Absolutely.
And so whenever that time comes, I am more than happy to share whatever God puts on my heart. So
good. So y'all gonna be seeing segments. We're gonna chop this up and put this in different segments that we'll put all over social media. And we didn't share it to Twitter. We have about 9,000 followers on Twitter. We haven't shared it there yet, but we're trying to build this and build it properly, and y'all have given us great content.
Yes,
oh my God,
appreciate it.
This is great content. So just look out for it. Y'all will see it all over everywhere. But I tell you what, love y'all. Thank y'all for being a part of our bro. We appreciate y'all, and it's been great. So once again, this has been Rock and Jets World. And we had two great, awesome speakers that were with us today. Did a great job today. We got to give it up to them. Got to give it up to Pastor Johnny Porter, to Pastor DeMarcus Pearson, Georgia's best and Texas best. We done talked about everything. We got to have several other episodes, y'all.
Feel empowered to play the organ now.
Right. Just done priest, and she done learned something about the organ.
Hey, all right.
Anyway, love y'all. And anyone that's out there watching, we appreciate all you that'll be able to see it in the review. We want you to share this video. Facebook definitely puts it out there stronger whenever you like it and share it. The more interaction we have, the algorithm really works well for us. So do that for us. Once again, thank you, Pastor Johnny Porter, and thank you, Pastor DeMarcus Pearson, and everyone have a blessed day.
God bless.